Hello, Rama Puppodu. Hope all are in good health, feeling very relaxed, calm, peaceful, healthy, and happy always. Now, let's continue with chapter 11, part 2, A Wonderful Transformation. 2 days later, there was another dinner arranged by a pious merchant of the place. In those days, Ramdas was mostly on milk diet and would take a little food once in 2 or 3 days along with the devotees at their dinner party. On this occasion also, the Brahman Ramdas had been invited, but he failed to turn up at the appointed time. All the guests waited for his arrival. He was, however, not to be seen. The merchant started to fetch him and after a search found him but could only persuade him to attend the feast after a great deal of entreaty and appeal. At last he came. His face was charred, his looks were haggard, and eyes sunk in their sockets. It was evident that envy was fast consuming him. On seeing him come, Ramdas felt really glad and asked the merchant to serve him first. No, no, he shouted. I am not going to take any meals today. I have vowed to fast. Ramdas begged of him to take at least some sweets. He pondered for a while, and to the infinite delight of Ramdas and all, consented to have sweets. Accordingly, some sweet balls or laddus were placed before him. Ramdas requested all the guests not to start eating until the Brahman had commenced to eat. He had about 3 or 4 laddus. All hail, O God of love, thou hast at last triumphed. It was observed that the Brahman did not feel quite at ease. The kindness and love offered in return for harshness and hate on his part almost overpowered him. He left the scene suddenly. That evening at 4, a Harikatha function was arranged by a devotee to be performed at his house by an old Haridas of the village. Of course, Ramdas attended it with Ramcharandas and Bhavani Shankar Rao. Now the last two would not in the ordinary course remain in town after 5 in the evening, but would run up to the neighboring hillocks and spend the nights together in meditation and repetition of Ram Nam. When Kirtan was still going on, they left the place at the usual time and disappeared on the hills. A mysterious event now took place. Some devotees of Anjangaum, the last village visited by Ramdas, who were away when he was there but who had seen him at the time of his visit over a year ago, were hastening to Angar with the object of meeting him. On their way, they happened to pass the hill on which Ramcharandas and Bhavani Shankar Rao were sitting. Strangely enough, they beheld, as they approached the hill, 3 men sitting in a line, Ramdas in the middle and the other 2, one on each side. They were not surprised. They thought that he, in company with his 2 friends, must have gone to the hills for an evening spell. They did not like to disturb the trio since they discovered them in a state of meditation. They proceeded straight to Angar, hoping to meet him on his return at nightfall. As they entered the village, they heard the sound of cymbals at the Kirtan party, and led by the sound, they came to it. But what was their astonishment to see Ramdas sitting in the assembly attending to the Kirtan, while they had clearly seen him on the hillock, which they had passed a little while ago. He was on the hills and at the same time at the Kirtan party too. They were bewildered. They related the matter to the Brahman Ramdas, who formed one of the assembly at the performance. This miraculous incident produced no small effect on the Brahman. At about 8 o'clock that night, he met Ramdas at a milk party. His attitude towards Ramdas had, in the meantime, entirely changed. He fell at Ramdas' feet and wept bitterly. He condemned himself in scathing terms and begged piteously to be forgiven. Ramdas asked him what the matter was. It was then that Ramdas heard from his lips the whole story of the double personality. While Ramdas listened, his hairs stood on end, his eyes were filled with tears, and his entire frame thrilled with indescribable ecstasy. He only muttered, "If it's all Ram's glory." His ways are inscrutable. From the ensuing day until Ramdas left Angar, this Brahman participated heartily in all the festivities and closely associated himself with Ramdas. He evinced a marked love, kindness, and regards for Ramdas. What a wonderful transformation! Certainly, there is no more potent force than divine love. That's all, folks. Let's see in the next chapter. Thank you. Bye bye. Rama Rama Puppodu.